Hello, people and bots. Grandpa Canuck here. And this is Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Now, this game's been around for a while. It was released on Steam 14 months ago, and it was available directly from the manufacturer for about 2 years before that, maybe 3 altogether. So it's been around in one form or another for about 4 years. But is it the same? Does it deserve all the comments that were said years ago or even a year ago about it? Let's take a look. This is not the same game as it was when people got to know it. In the beginning, there was only a naval academy. Now, the Naval Academy is a small part of the game overall. It's almost like a set of tutorials or short events. If that's what you want out of the game, it provides the option of doing individual lessons and then battles. And you do get the ability to design a ship, and you do have some different characteristics that you can add to it before you design the ship. And the designing ships is an incredibly great feature that this game does. It's not simplistic, but it's not overly difficult. The custom battle, which is available as well, allows you to pull in any fleet from any time period against any fleet from any time period. And this is a nice little feature to play the what if game. It gives the options of a quick start, it gives a randomness on a lot of things, or you can set the weather, right, whether it's daytime, okay, and you can even design the major ship of the fleet that you wish to use. So again, this is almost like a second game of the game. Again, it lets you design your ship and lets you, in this case, determine your fleet versus an enemy fleet. The shared designs feature is something that you can do where you can design a ship and share it with friends. Now, it's not the easiest to process, and I have never done it. It's not an aspect of the game that I like. But it does give you a good overview here of the ship design function. So in this particular, you can scroll through the various years and time periods, and you can go through any of the different hulls that are available to that nation in those time periods, and the components that are available in those time periods. So that's a nice feature, and then you can show it off. Now, as far as the campaign goes, it's not a really useful feature, and I'm a campaign player, so that is not something that I see as a big highlight for those of us that like large campaigns. The campaign is the major part of this game. When it came out originally, when I purchased it, there was no campaign. And they developed the campaign very slowly and implemented it in very small segments. There was no campaign. Then there was a campaign only between England and Germany, and it was only in the North Sea, exceedingly limited. Then they expanded it to include the Mediterranean, and there was like a choice of 4 nations. Eventually, it grew up, and it gave you the entire world and 10 playable nations to go with it. And it has changed an awful lot over the years. If you've heard anything about the campaign and it is not current It is currently March of 2024, and any information older than a month or 6 weeks is probably not overly helpful to tell you what the campaign is like. There's a news section which brings up the recent changes that they've done. They've just, with the latest patch of 1.50, they've done some optimization to it here. Okay? And the other thing about this is every time there's been a major update, old campaign saves and old ship designs are incompatible. This has irritated a lot of people along the way. A lot of people only want to design their stuff once. If that is what you want, the game's interesting and is good for a few hours play. And if you want to design something for a one-up, battle, that's okay. And you can play the game that way. If you are a campaign player, this resets your campaign every single time that there's a major update. And there's been a lot of them over the time period. So there's a lot of negative reviews out there about this aspect of the game. And that's unfortunate because people need to realize that the game was an early release a lot of the time and was not totally filled out, and therefore the developer took this approach and gave us something that was very worthwhile to play, but it wasn't everything. And as they made it into everything, they had to reset things. And if you're a campaign, and a lot of people who play the campaign like to design the ships more than they like to fight, and they like to spend hours designing their fleet, modifying their ships, etc. And it's nice to note that in the recent news, they've added something here. Added the ability to refit ships that were received as reparations. So if you win a war and you take the enemy's fleet, there's actually some ability now to refit those ships. And that never used to be there. And that's an important one. Now, the new campaign, when you go into a new campaign, you can go between the 10 nations that are there, and you can change the starting year anywhere up to 1890 to 1940. The difficulty level does change the AI ability. AI opponent random, as it says. Historical AI that points admiral leaders will use strategies and tactics based on historical facts. Otherwise, the AI will be a random personality and will behave unexpectedly. So this adds replayability to the game. Okay? That is an important factor because it'll never be the same game twice. You will never be able to design the same ship as the campaign time before because the technologies could be slightly different. When you start a campaign, you have a choice of the auto-generated or the create your own. The auto-generated is essentially like inheriting the bad admiral's decisions, and you get to fix them up and design new. If you don't want to deal with that, when you start a campaign, you can create your own ships. This is just going to add some time that you need to put into designing the ships before you actually start playing the campaign. And as I said, some people are playing this game for the creating, not the battles. The AI shared designs, it will keep your designs, and there's 3 choices where it will never look at your designs for the AI ships, or the more you play and the bigger set of designs, it may find something that you've designed previously that fits the current criteria of that AI nation, and it'll use it. Now, there's 3 different selections on that as well. So it is versatile. Settings are all here, general controls, graphics, etc. And from a naval look, it looks okay. It's not exquisite in its detail on the ships. It is good. Now, you have to give a bit of leeway to the amount of time it took to develop this game as well. Some of their staff were in Ukraine over the last couple of years, and one of their major graphics people I know was there. They've made comments about it in their notes, and this took extra time to get a few things added into the game as quickly as they wanted. We don't need to go into that one way or the other. I don't want to get into politics. So, as an overview, it's got the ability to get into things quickly. It's got the flexibility of doing one-up design playing. It's got the ability to continue long campaigns and play as 10 different nations and set the AI differently in every time you want to start a new campaign. So it gives you almost an unlimited approach to what can happen on developing of campaigns. Now, the one thing that some people do not like is there's no aircraft. There's no land-based aircraft. There's no sea-based aircraft. There's no seaplanes for spotting. There's no aircraft carriers. And up into 1950, you just have to suspend your belief that air power was never developed and play it as if the age of dreadnoughts continued. So, past 1910, past the First World War, past the 20s and 30s, and when things were shifting in the 40s and 50s into aircraft carriers, this game is not for that. If you want a full historic change over in technology, this game is not for you. If you like big guns on big ships and let them rule the seas, this is a good choice. I probably played 800 hours or maybe more before this game was released on Steam. I bought it fairly early, and I had a good experience with that, even though it was a limited game. Since it's come out on Steam, I have 1,920 hours. I just checked before making this video. And so I'm talking from a lot of experience in the game. Now, within the campaign, there's only 5 slots to save. Now, some people think there should be more than this. I find it adequate, but not glorious. When you start a new campaign, it takes forever on any computer to do all the calculations. The AI has to construct 10 navies, everything from torpedo boats to battleships, for all of those 10 navies, and it has to position them on a world map. The inclusion in the campaign of submarines has been controversial. You don't design the submarines, but you do design the submarines. So you don't design the submarines like you do the other ships, but you do control some aspects of it. The other thing some people do not like is the fact it is not a wraparound map. This is very irritating when you're fighting a campaign in the Pacific, because you're here, and if you pass those islands, you need to scroll all the way over to the other side of the map. And you can zoom in really well, but if you're zoomed out, These menus are not repositionable and they get in the way. The log, if they could add it so that you could see more of this and keep it more than scrolling down just through the past year, it would be better. Now you can skip all over the place quickly if you know where you're going. So that's not bad. But the fact you can't scroll has been a definite downer, and if that would irritate you to the point of not wanting to play, that would irritate you. And maybe it's not the game for you. Is it perfect? No. Is any game perfect? No. Is this game a lot of fun? Yes. Is this game challenging? Yes. You can't have the same Navy twice in the campaigns. You don't have to have the same ships twice on the missions. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to design. And all kinds of things that come into the game. Again, the 5 slots, some people deem as a problem. The cut screens that they bring in are all photographs, heritage photographs, and they have some exquisite shots of old military ships dating incredibly far back. They've done just a wonderful job putting that together. Now, I am mostly a campaign player, so I want to talk about the campaign just a little bit. The politics is fairly simplified, and you only have a few limited choices about improving or improving relations, increasing tension. You can cancel alliances, you can try and make peace deals, and you can make naval invasions on their property under the right conditions. The financing is handled okay. You only have control of a few things. You are not running the country. You are just running the Navy. So there are only certain things that you can do within the financial realm of the game. Some people don't like this, and I can understand their concerns. The research isn't bad. Unfortunately, their menus start with the old and go to the new. So by the time you get to the 1940s, the boilers menu goes way, 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 way down, and you have to scroll through it. If they reversed these, it would be a much, much better display and use of space and more pertinent to what's going on currently in the game. So that is a criticism that I will say. The information they relay to you has a number of weaknesses, and this is one particular one that I find. But you have 3 priorities that you can put in, and if you put them all in the same line, or even 2 of them, it will take away from each other. So having them spread out or not using all 3, and some people say that putting none of them in will actually get you some of the technologies better and faster. If you want to prioritize development of one type of naval warfare, if you want to prioritize building engines, you can do that on a playthrough. You can play the same country under the same conditions the next time and prioritize your guns. And you can play it again, prioritizing submarine development. And you can prioritize it again, right, with the hulls and armor quality. So this is very versatile. Very, very, very versatile. Submarines come into play later, and it's not a big part of the game. You can always look at your fleet. You have it listed here that you can sort on any of the categories. There's a lot of information and data here. In the campaign, you can do new designs, you can refit. So here I can take the Admiral's mistake on making this Roberto. right? Because I loaded this as pre-done, and oh, this is a terrible ship. I don't like it. Okay, I'm going to refit it. And so you can do that. And you can change the guns, you can change the armor. Depending on what your technologies are, you can do upgrades to it. And this is a major part of the campaign. And it deserves a whole video of its own. Just refitting ships. And you could probably have different types and styles of refits, as many as there are players. Everybody will have a different viewpoint on that. So the campaign is what you build to if you do all the other things in the game. It throws it all together, and it gives you hours and hours and hours of play in a single campaign. Dozens and dozens of hours. You could spend a long period of time on every single battle, or you can skip over them quickly and let the AI do the battle. And you can only do the big battles, only the battles with destroyers. I mean, it's very versatile in that way. This is not the same game as it was when the initial reviews and the initial display of the game came out. In fact, the Steam ad for it shows sections of the hull coming out and other ones going in. That is not a thing. And I don't know why they still use that video in trying to sell the game, because it's not anywhere in existence in the game. And it is really misleading. So that first video on the Steam page where it is for sale, totally ignore it. Look at the reviews. If you're a naval fan, you will love this game. If you're only a little bit of a naval fan, buy it on sale. Expect to get your money's worth. It'll be okay. If you like long, grinding campaigns, if you like the tedium of designing the ships, to those of us who like that, it's not tedium, it's fun. It's as much fun as shooting the guns. And as I said before, a lot of people, when I have streamed, have told me they'd like me to spend more time in designing the ships and seeing that. They like that more than the battles. So the game is versatile enough to apply to different types of gameplay. So pay attention to that when you're reading the reviews. Pay attention that the reviews are not ancient. Anything over, as I said, 6 weeks or 2 months on this game probably isn't giving you the most current information for it. That's why I decided to put out a new intro to the game here and try and give it the credit that it deserves. 1,920 hours I've played on Steam, and probably 800 before it went on Steam before that. I've had my money's worth out of this game many times over, and I think it is a good game. It brings forward a number of comments, and I wouldn't say realism, but it does do a lot of things historically accurate. I am a retired military historian. I've had a lifetime love of naval ships and the World War II time period in particular. I have visited several. I have been on board an actual battleship, an actual aircraft carrier. In my career, I helped restore a Cold War era submarine, not quite related to this game, but I have been involved in naval items over the years, and I have interviewed sailors from a few navies around the world from the World War II and newer time periods through the Cold War. This game is worthwhile if you're a naval buff. If you're just a bang bang gamer, maybe not for you. Think about it. Look into it more. Make that decision. Buy it on sale. So if there's any questions, leave them in the feedback to me. The video here will be available on Twitch for the next week. It'll then be on my YouTube channel, probably as of tomorrow. Please subscribe. Follow me on YouTube. And make any comments you want. Leave me feedback. And I'll see if I can look into anything and answer your questions. If you'd like to see more detailed tutorials for how the game is today, leave me that feedback on YouTube, and I can look into doing more things showing you the current state of the game. Thank you very much, all you people and bots out there. Take care. This is Grandpa Canuck signing off. Ahoy, one and all.